Hello, friends. Today I have a wonderful guest, Mr. Romit Barat, who is a co-owner and partner in Akta Capital Advisors LLP. Mr. Romit Barat is a subject matter expert in PMS and AIF investing, and he is a product professional having core competence in the area of PMS, mutual funds, structured products, investment advisory, wealth management, private banking, financial planning, as well as insurance. Romit has earlier worked with blue chip organizations like Kotak, ICICI Prudential Asset Management, Motilal Asset Management, as well as others in various leadership schools. And the most important thing is he's been very instrumental in creating one of the largest communities of alternate distributors with more than 6,500 distributors and wealth managers pan India. And Romit is also a voracious reader, and his flair for writing is deep rooted in his noteworthy insights on market behaviors that otherwise go unnoticed. With this small introduction, let me warmly welcome Mr. Romit, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. It is always a pleasure to be with you and share our inclination towards this very interesting subject of PMS and AIF. Thank you for inviting me today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sir, I just wanted to, because most of my clients are into mutual funds, I just wanted to ask you why clients choose AIF towards wealth creation.
Oh, that's a very interesting question, sir. So, before I go and try to address this particular questions, there is a very, strong reason of science. There is a very important study called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Where
Hmm.
basically it tries to illustrate and demonstrate that how your consumer behavior change as you move towards the income cycle. In case of investment, Maslow's hierarchy of needs also plays a very active role. Sir, if you see at the initial time when we start earning, our investment objectives are more inclined towards protections, and we start understanding investment savings discreetly. But as we start building our income, as we start generating more income, our knowledge and the ability to take risk increases, and this leads us to the next level of investment option. So, in such cases, portfolio management and alternate investment funds plays a very important role as an investment instrument to a slight higher degree of investors who are slightly matured in terms of their understanding of the investment and their expectation to generate higher yield in their investment journey towards wealth creation. And that is why I think PMS and AIF is a very, very important and a very, very critical tool which augment their expectations towards wealth creation.
Yes. Wonderful, sir. So, having said that, I would like to know what are all the options available to investors to invest either in PMS as well as in AIF. Can you just throw a
So,
light on that?
yeah, so, sir, you have to first understand that investment regulations in India is very well led and it is well documented. Under SEBI regulations, there are three major regulations which comes under the so-called the managed portfolio regulations. One of them is mutual funds. The second is portfolio management services, as it abbreviated as PMS. And the third is alternate investment funds, as it is abbreviated as alternate investment funds. Now, as we are discussing about PMS and AIF in particular, let me tell you that there are three categories of PMS services that is documented under the SEBI PMS regulations. What are those three documented regulations? The number one is that it can be a discretionary portfolio management service. The second is the non-discretionary services, and the third is an advisory services. So, as an investor, depending upon your keenness to invest in an investment instrument like PMS, and with your kind of expertise, I think it is a mutually an agreed decision to invest either in discretionary PMS or in non-discretionary PMS or in advisory. In that circumstances, let me tell you, sir, that today 80% of portfolio management services that is advised by investment consultants like you are basically discretionary PMS. And under the alternate investment funds, there are three categories of alternate investment funds: category 1, category 2, and category 3. These are extremely specialized investment instruments which gives the investors a wide range of investment options, starting from investing in a early stage startups to invest into a very complex hedging strategies, which we popularly call it as hedge funds. So if you see, there is a huge range of investment options under PMS and AIF.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. And the last year, we also had a new investment option called as Gift City Investments, and how it is useful for NRI and foreign investors. Can you throw more light on that?
Oh, thank you, Smatha. That is indeed a very, very important question. Before I go to the International Financial Center in Gift City, which is facilitating a very, very important sections of our investors community, which is NRI. But before understanding what is IFSC, let me create an analogy which will help you and your viewers to understand what exactly is IFSC. So IFSCs, if I compare IFSC or draw an analogy around IFSC, we can draw the analogy around a immigrations counter in an airport. So immigrations counter in an airport does what? It basically authenticate and invest, traveler basis on certain informations and basis of certain foreign policy instructions, and it decides whether it can allow that particular visitors to come to India or not. So is an international financial services center when it comes to investment in India as a destination. So there are three category of international investor that often comes to India as an investment option. First and the most popular them being NRIs, the second being the OCI or person of Indian origin, and the thirds are typically non-Indian investors who can be a nationals, who can be a non-individual entity as well. So International Financial Center is basically a regulator which does everything what is required by a regulator in order to verify and allow an investor to invest in India through the external route. There are various
Mhm.
instruments which is available at the International Financial Center which allows this external investor to invest. But yes, it is now becoming a very, very important route for investors. And let me tell you, there is a very interesting features that exist in IFSC. If you are an NRI, you can invest through various products which are very similar to what you get in a domestic product without an Indian KYC. It means that even if you do not have proper Indian KYC documents, or if they are not updated and you do not want to use them for whatever the reason that might be your personal, you can still invest in the Indian growth story through this IFSC route.
And the good part is that they can invest in dollars and take back the money in dollars. It has not been
Absolutely,
converted.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. See,
yeah.
the biggest, the advantage of having such an infrastructure is to give various investment options to NRI. Now, if I think, or if I realize that over the period of next 5 to 6 years, that India as a country will be more focused towards export orientations, and the present government or the future, every government that will come will focus towards export orientation. In such case, there is a very high probability that Indian currency, which is the rupee, might depreciate over the period of time. Now, in otherwise, it means that the dollar will appreciate. Now, in such a scenario, investment in a dollar denominated instrument gives a double benefit to the investor. At the core, the portfolio grows, and at the and at the realization level, it's get augmented with the appreciation of dollars also. So for an investor, sir, I think over the next 5 years, for especially for the NRI investors who do not want to invest through their Indian KYC, this particular route through the IFSC gives them a double dhamaka. So for them, they can not only get the juice of the portfolio returns, but they can also enjoy the upward expected volatility of the dollar, which in turn will give them a higher yield in their portfolio.
Yes, wonderful, sir. And sir, in 2020, when we are attending your classes, you talked about the global reporting standards being adopted in PMS and AF. Can you throw light on that and how we are migrating to a global system and how it is protecting the investors from the regulators' point of
Absolutely.
view? And yes, sir.
That's indeed a very, very important question for an investor who is contemplating to invest in India, and also not only for the external investors, but also for domestic investors. Transparency, trust, comparability, and consistency. These are the four major important features that is required for any investment industry to thrive and survive. In 2020, SEBI adopted the globally recognized investment standard, which is called the Global Investment Performance Standards, which is basically the trademark of CFA Institute, which is basically the world renowned institute, to adopt the same philosophy and processes and values in the Indian investments procedure and processes. So currently, every portfolio manager who is registered with SEBI has to adopt this global investment performance standard, which is a universally acclaimed standardized method of not only calculating but also communicating and illustrating an investment of performance to the client. What happens in a normal scenario when you do not have a standardized mechanism in place? It becomes very, very difficult or confusing for an investor to compare and take a proper decisions around investment, because everything looks similar, everybody talks similar, everybody behaves similarly. So in such cases, I think GIPS is a very, very audited and documented initiative, and it provides a great transparency and consistency in the mind of the investors when he's taking an investment decisions.
Yeah, wonderful, sir. And as we are a cusp of a huge growth, as we are transition from 3 trillion to 7 trillion in the next 5 to 7 years. Can you say what are all the investments in the AF and PMS where people can consider, and how it can help them to plan for their retirement or for their long term goals, something like retirement corpus or building a house or uh, sending their students abroad or whatever, their children abroad or whatever? Can you throw this transition, how it will help investors in their investment journey?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm not an economist, so I will not be able to say how the economic parameter would span out. But if you see the current preference and priorities of the government, see, every country, their sectors and their industries thrives and grows in line with the government policies and priorities. If a particular government has export oriented policies or processes, obviously all industries around that particular sectors would grow. Now if you see the current administrations which is presently ruling the government, there are basically three segments which I find is going to grow and thrive over the period of next 5 years, and I call them interestingly as 3D. Now what is a 3D? 3D, the first D is called the defense. Now if you see, there has been lot of interest, and there has been lot of focus on improving the defense production in India under the Make in India defense, under the Make in India initiative. So first sector which I think under the government present government under the present government, defense and its allied defense production will see a major boost over a period of next 5 years. The second D is the digital India. And we all know that India as a country has shown his exemplary achievement when it comes to implementation of digital and its digital services. Today we have world class facilities like UPI. We have one of the best penetrations of mobile in India. Our mobile infrastructure is one of the finest in India, and we have the cheapest mobile connectivity data expenses. So I think over the period of next 5 years, if you ask me, the digital India and any industry or company around the digital India would do extremely well. The third D in the 3D is the domestic consumption. It is not an unknown fact that India
Yeah.
is a huge country. We have 140 mouth that needs food. We have 440 crores of aspirations. So domestic consumption is one of the most important market or sectors that I see is exponentially, which will see exponential growth over the next 5 years. And this is not something
Yes.
that I'm talking out of my own. This is a very, very well seen fact. If you see around, you will see people buying cars, people buying houses, people buying jewelries, and there is a huge growth of the discretionary spends that is happening around you, and that is where a domestic consumption is going to play a very important role. So if you have to understand that what are the sectors that you need to do, obviously when you call out defense, so there would be defense manufacturing, there would be defense software, there would be a lot of sectors. So I think, Venkataraman sir, the most important sectors, what are the three flavors is defense, digital India, and domestic consumptions. And you can choose any portfolio management services providers who provide strategies around these sectors, which has a priority around these sectors. And I think all these
Yes.
three sectors will do very, very good in the coming days.
Yes, exactly. And our per capita income is also growing from 2,200 to once it becomes to 5,000 in the due course of time. We can see huge GDP growth along with that, and
I
consumption
think
being the driver of that. Yeah.
absolutely. See, there is a very interesting concept of Chinese miracle. China was the only
Yes.
country that had a double-digit growth and that had a double-digit inflations from 1976 till 2010, when the entire miracle of China was written down. Now, I think India is entering at a very fast pace, probably the rate at which India is entering into that India miracle zone is now. So, probably for the next 30 years, we will see India miracle emerging in the global economic order. But one thing
Yes.
that we need to be very, 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 very aware that we should not get into any kind of a complacent stage. Complacency can kill and dream, it can kill an aspirations. So, and that is where I think if everything is properly structured and everything is properly reviewed, India will see an Indian miracle story written over a period of next 30 years, with China, with as Chinese miracle has been written from 1976 to 2010.
Wonderful, sir. And as a experienced PMS and AIF advisor who have been a trainer, can you also throw some light on how to identify the best portfolio manager in AIF as well as in PMS for the benefit of my investors?
That's a very, very important question. See, globally, investment management is basically a decision around three variables. One is the quality. Now, it can be quality of management, it can be the quality of business, it can be the quality of the products. So, the first parameter that drives any investment manager to decide upon to creating a portfolio is to or understanding a company is the quality. The second is the opportunity. Now, every portfolio manager tries to identify companies who are exploring a very big market opportunity. And the third parameter that any portfolio manager that tries to see in a company is what price or valuation it is available to him. As we say, no business is a bad business, it is a badly run business. So, at any point of time, an investment professional has got three parameters to juggle upon, and these are quality, these are opportunity, and these are price. Now, when we focus between quality and price, we use a concept called quality at reasonable price, and CARP is a very, very
QGLP.
important
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
Then, when we try to talk about quality with opportunity, we use the concept of growth in value. And when we try to find growth or opportunity over valuation, we call it a growth against reasonable valuations or a growth at reasonable price. So
Price.
there are three combination of investment philosophy around these three variables, which are quality, opportunity, and price. And as a portfolio manager, every portfolio manager basically tries to focus on two parameters in any of these three parameters. Presently, I feel that the most important parameter that should do good for an investor are those portfolio managers who are focusing on growth around reasonable price, because India, as I've said, India is a great country. Every industry that we see around has a huge growth opportunity at a next 5 to 10 years level. So if I can create a good businesses at a which is exploring a very big opportunity at a very attractive valuations, I can be very, very assured that my money will be created over a period of 5 to 10 years. Why am I saying that the quality can be a, quality is also important? Because when you identify a company, the factor for quality automatically becomes the first choice. When you identify a company, where you identify a businesses, the first factor that you screen is basically the quality. So quality cannot be compromised under any circumstances. Once I've established a quality assessment test in identifying whether that particular company is run by great management with an extremely high sense of competency and integrity, my focus is try to understand what is an opportunity for that business and what price am I getting that company at this particular business. As Howard Marks very rightly said, no business is not so good that it cannot become bad if it is bought at high price, and no business is bad ever if it has been bought at low prices. Matlab, what does it mean? It means that no business is so good that will remain good forever if you have brought it at high price. Similarly, if you buy a average business at a low price, you are buying also you are buying a great investment. So it is very,
Margin
very
of safety.
important to understand.
Yeah.
Yes, so as a investment, you need to understand these are two different concepts. One is good businesses and one is a great investment, and people often mix them. Good businesses cannot be a great investment. And as an investment advisor like you have the very important task of telling the investors what is the difference between good investments and the good business and a great investment. And that is where I think portfolio managers have a very important role to play. And PMS offers a great investment in identifying not only a good businesses but also a great investment.
Perfect, sir. It's been a great session. And any final thoughts which you would like to share it to my investment community at large?
So India is a large country, and you have lot of investment practitioners in India. At the same time, you have lot of uncertified financial distributors who are into this practice. For all the investors who are investing or who are seeing this particular message, my important message is always look for the NISM certification with a distributor. It is like you are going to a doctor who does not have a medical degree. But in such cases, in investment, there are a lot of fraudulent people who, at the expenses of using technology and using show, they attract investors with lot of graphics and fake data. My only advice to the investors community is start asking for NISM certification or NISM certificate when you start dealing with a distributor or a financial practitioner, because at the end of the day, it is your money, it is your risk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's been a great pleasure associating with you. We will once again have you in the due course of time on reviewing a portfolio or a PMS on their various historical data.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
very much for
Venkataramana sir.
being a part of my guest. Yes, sir.
I have also equally enjoyed my sessions with you. Thank you so much and wish you all the best.